These are the worst vehicles in GTA Online. No one should buy them, and I'd even go as far as saying might as well just remove them from the game. First one being the RM10 Bambushka. If you ask me, this should go in the trash bin Ushka. There are so many bad things about this plane. It might be the slowest air vehicle in the game, and that says a lot, especially because there's vehicles like a Deluxo in the game, which is also a really slow one. But if I had to make a prediction, I would say this is roughly the same speed as the Deluxo, which is extremely slow for a plane. There's so many helicopters that are way faster than this plane. The Sparrow helicopter, for example, which is the fastest helicopter, is easily like 5 times the speed of this plane. It's unbelievably slow, and it's actually unrealistic how slow they made an airplane in this game. On top of that, it's a nightmare to maneuver this thing. It takes so long to go from side to side. It's actually like a super slow motion rock with wheels and some propellers added to it. The only good thing about it is that it's armored and it's pretty strong, but it's so easy for any weaponized vehicle that has at least a few missiles to go ahead and blow this thing up. Possibly the worst choice you can possibly choose for an air vehicle. It's also a really ugly plane, and the inside of it is super old, and yeah, I don't think there's anything good about this thing. It even costs a couple $1,000,000, which is absolutely insane. No one should spend that money. In fact, you should be the one getting paid if you're actually willing to fly this thing around, because it's a pain. Then we have a very similar plane, which you can say is the Bambushka's brother, even though this is the more OG one. The Bambushka came out well after the actual Typin, which came out with the release of the game in 2013. Now, the Typin, as you probably know, is also a very slow plane, but it can actually catch some speed, unlike the Bambushka. I want to say the Bambushka is only like a third of the top speed that the Typin has, which just says a lot about the Bambushka. That's crazy, especially because that plane costs a couple $1,000,000, and this Typin is much cheaper, and you could just spawn it in at the airport anytime you want. I mean, both planes are horrible, but which one is worse? Easily the Bambushka. Me and my friends back in the day always tried to open up the back of the Typin, because it would make sense that you can actually open it and store some vehicles in the back, just drive a car in there, and it would never open, even though we saw some tutorials on YouTube that claim it would. Honestly, if you could drive a car in the back of there, I bet a lot more people would mess around with it. It is the style of a cargo plane, so I don't see why not. Kind of a bummer that you can't do that. Then we have the first land vehicle of this video, the Zaba. This is such an ugly and useless vehicle. The only good thing you can really say about it is that it looks unique, but I feel like when people call a vehicle like this unique, they do mean it in a bad way. It performs terribly, and you'd think with such big wheels it could actually have some power to it, but no, it's just a heavy rock that could barely move. The steering is pretty awkward with this thing. It handles much differently than an average car. I don't know why, but turning with this thing is just odd. It feels like you're driving a super slow, broken toy car. I don't see why anyone would even spend 5K to buy this vehicle. It's so useless. Performance-wise, acceleration, speed, handling, and everything, it's as bad as it gets. It's definitely one of the slowest vehicles in the entire game. Maybe even a BMX bike could beat this thing in a race. It's that slow. And shockingly, you can even spin out with it, which makes it even worse, but it's crazy since it can only go at like 20 miles per hour most of the time. The only decent feature with it, which doesn't nearly justify the crazy $2.4 million price tag it has, is the fact that it's amphibious. So driving in any body of water, the vehicle won't drown, which is nice. So it's sort of like a boat, although if it's a slow land vehicle, of course it's also going to be a really slow sea vehicle. A supercar on the list is the X80 Proto. This had so much hype when it came out many years ago. People mainly were excited by the extremely unique look it has, but that's pretty much all it has going for it, because performance wise it's absolutely terrible. The acceleration is really slow to begin with, and the main issue for me is the handling. Driving this thing around, it looks like a cool looking hypercar that's completely out of control. It can spin out pretty easily. It's really rare for it to not drift at least a little bit going around turns. Really awful traction for one of the worst handling supercars in the game. And to keep the trend going of insanely overpriced vehicles in this video, this cost $2.7 million. One of the most expensive supercars you can get in this game. It would probably be over $3 million spent after customization too. If we had to dig deeper and find one good thing about this car, it would probably be a couple of cool customization options, but again, it definitely wouldn't justify a crazy price tag like this one. Another supercar we're gonna check out is the Typin. Now, the Typin is actually a pretty good looking supercar, especially from the front of it. When you look at it from the front, it looks absolutely amazing, but I don't know how Rockstar managed to make such a good looking car car from the front of it looks so bad from the back of it. Instead of 0 to 100 real quick, this is 100 to 0 real quick. It looks like a 5-year-old designed it and tried to draw a random shape on the back, and this is what it turned out to be. It doesn't have a very good top speed, handling is kinda meh, at least it's not as bad as the X80 Protos, and the acceleration could be better, but one particular thing that I actually really like about it is the engine sound. It's got a solid engine noise, which you can't say about a lot of cars. I feel like most of them are pretty quiet, but this one's actually nice. Plus another $2 million down the drain for something that's so not worth it. This next one might be the worst in this video so far though. The Vapid Slam truck might take the cake for the most useless vehicle. It's not weaponized, it's not armored, it's extremely slow. Driving around is so painful. This thing is extremely heavy and it handles terribly. As with the Bambushka, this is also a very difficult vehicle to maneuver. Turning is just really difficult. The main feature with this thing, as you can see, the entire back of the vehicle is meant to carry another car. The only problem is you can't actually do that. When you try to put on a car on the back, it's gonna slowly slip off as you're driving. Better yet, you don't even have to be driving for the car to start slipping off. I don't know if Rockstar just messed up the coding and didn't make it where the cars are supposed to be stuck on there, but this vehicle is basically broken and it costs over $1 million to buy. Everything sucks about this one besides the customization. I will give it that it has some pretty cool liveries, but that's about it. It's as disappointing as the X80 Proto, just for lower standards than supercars, because this thing is nowhere near the speed of a supercar, of course. Then this next one is a pretty obvious one. It is the Gold Jet, the Luxor Deluxe. If you don't know anything about this one and you're just seeing it for the first or second time, you might think this is actually a really cool looking jet. Looks very luxurious, and I wouldn't disagree with you, but the issue with it is that it has the most expensive price tag in the game, coming in at 10 million bucks. The only point of it is to look good and drink champagne in the back. That's the only cool feature about it, and that's if you actually manage to find someone to pilot this plane so you can actually sit in the back. It's got a gold paint job on it, and I think it could withstand one explosive before blowing up in the second one, which I guess you can say it is armored, but it's still not great armor at all. It's basically just one more explosive than the black version of this thing that you can spawn at the airport. There's a reason Rockstar put a fat discount on this thing several times before of up to 70% off, because they know it's just not worth it to buy at regular price. Even at 70% off, I don't think that's enough. This shouldn't be over $1 million at most. Are there any other vehicles you think I should have included on this list that you think should be deleted from GTA Online, or if not deleted, at least make them much better? Because I do not recommend buying any of the vehicles mentioned in this video. If you enjoyed, help the video out by dropping a like on it, and subscribe if you are new to the channel so you don't miss any more awesome videos like these. Now click the video on screen now for the best vehicles under $3 million in GTA Online. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.